This is part 2 of removing the diff bushings out of a BA Falcon. Step 1, you're going to need some diff bushings. I went out and got the Super Pro bushings. 1 bush for the back, 2 for the front with instructions. I went and got there were 2 options there, with the Comfort and Performance. I went the Comfort kit, so this is the part number if anyone needs it. To make this job a lot easier, I recommend you get a saw like this one. If you can't get one like this, a mini hacksaw and a chisel is your next best bet. Next step, you're going to want to remove the bolt holding the diff in at the back. It's a 21mm. Next step, you're going to want to come up to the front after you've removed the bolt from the back of the diff. There are 2 braces each side which run to the front diff mounts. They have 3 15mm bolts that you will need to remove. 1, 2 and underneath 3. Yeah, there's the same on this side too. 1, 2, underneath 3. Next step, remove the 2 30mm bolts holding the diff mounts on. Next step, go to the back of the diff and remove all the rubber and the metal sleeve that is located in the diff housing. Next step, get the hacksaw out and start cutting out the metal sleeve of the bush. Make sure you don't go too far through and start cutting into the cradle. Once you have made the second cut into the bush, it's just a matter of getting a chisel or something underneath and folding this section back. Once you have done that, the bush should collapse on itself and you should be able to remove it. Next step, you just want to get a screwdriver and put it at the back of the sleeve of the bush, line it up and whack it out with a hammer. Next step, do the same technique you did on the rear bush to remove to the 2 front bushes. Now that all 3 mounts are cleared out of the old mounts, you're going to want to go through and clean up the mounting positions, make sure there's no debris or anything like that in there. If you had scored or cut through a little bit of the mount, don't worry, it'll be fine, as long as you haven't gone too far down. We're going to be doing the 2 front ones first. What you're going to want to do is make sure it's the right part and fits in correctly. It'll have a little step down on the back. You're going to want to face the dark blue side as per the instructions to face out towards the front of the vehicle. Before installation, get the grease provided and grease up the mounting position. Once the mount in the cradle has been lubricated, you're going to want to do the same to the outside of the diff bush. For installation purposes, I'm going to be leaning the cradle back. Put the breather line back on the diff and put a bolt in there so you do not lose any oil from the diff. Now that the cradle is in the upward position, position the new bush into the mount. Make sure the lobe or the indentation is facing upwards. Next step, take a rubber mallet and a piece of board and place flat over the bush and start to install it. Now that the bush has been installed, you're going to want to go ahead and place something on the outer sleeve of the bush and compress it another 5 to 7 millimeters. Now that the front two diff bushings have been installed, you're going to want to go ahead and apply some grease to the rear diff bush housing. Next step, you're going to want to apply some grease to the rear diff bush. In the instructions it doesn't mention how far you want to install the rear bush. I'm just going to install it up to the point at which the old bush sleeve ended, which is where you can see the grease has stopped. You want to install the diff bush with the lobe or the indentation facing down. On top of the diff bush says up. That is the way you want to install it. With all three diff bushings installed, you're going to want to go ahead and install the rear bolt into the rear diff bush, but before you do, apply some Loctite. Next step, install the diff bush brackets back onto the front of the diff. Install the two bolts back into the front of the cradle. It's recommended to use Loctite as per instructions. With all three diff bushings now reinstalled, you can go ahead and reinstall the cradle to the vehicle. That's it for part 2 of installing rear diff bushings into a BA Falcon. A side note, if you're having trouble aligning the diff with the 3 bushings and you're doing it on your own, just be persistent, you'll get it to work. It's much easier if you have 2 people, but if you don't, take your time and you'll get it done. Thanks for watching.